Welcome to Channel Mac, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side once we have all the updates and news. You'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now in today's video, I would like to discuss a topic whether or not in this financial year 2023 and 24 you should really consider choosing the subclass 491 and subclass 190. Now what are the comments on these two visas? Now these two visas all require a state nomination. Now, despite that, we are looking towards a new potential point test system to be introduced. However, I believe, and many believe, that the state nomination will still be there because it has been there for, well, since the start of the invention of the visa system in Australia. So, state actually provides a lot of the federal government provides the states, different states, with a quota where a state will actually lobby with the number they require for the potential growth and need of that particular state and territories. So utilizing the state nomination will actually be, well, beneficial. Generally what I advise is that you always put independent skill migration in conjunction with a state nomination as well, because you just don't know where in the point test system, especially in the talent pool, you actually be invited either by the federal government or the state of Queensland or the state of New South Wales, state of Victoria, state of South Australia, Northern Territory, Tasmania, ACT, or Western Australia. So how would you utilize that, and should you really consider? I believe so. Now, especially for those people who perhaps could not really get a high points enough by independently by just using yourself, because under 189 independent skill migration, there's no additional points provided by the state nomination in order for you to actually bump your points up towards 65 or even further onwards. So if you are you know that your points is perhaps in lower end, you may want to review numbers of our previous video to understand what the differences between 190 and 491 basically is. As long as your points are actually lower, you probably choose something with the state nomination to actually bump your points up towards 65 or even further. So let's have a look at the differences between 491, despite of the point test system the new one hasn't been introduced yet. Now 491 actually gives you more points, so the state actually giving you more points subclass 491. Now you might ask, well, if it gives us more points, why would I choose 190? Now, big difference here, because 190 gets you a permanent residency straight away. Okay, but 491, no, it's a provisional. What does that mean? That's a temporary skill visa. But once you get it, after 2 or 3 years, I believe currently it's 3 years. 3 years of stay in regional Australia, you are eligible to actually transfer to subclass 191, which is a permanent residency as well. So the differences here is you're getting the PR straight away, or you're getting the PR 3 years later. Obviously the cost, I think the cost is a little bit dearer because you do 2 lodgements, but the issue, the cost is more towards time. So why would you choose 491 rather than choosing 190? See, this is the common question. I mean, if you have been following my channel long enough, perhaps this is not really something that you would like to get an answer on, but there are still a lot of people who hasn't really got a grips on this. So if your points your current skill points is at the lower end, perhaps choosing 491 is a better way for you, because that gives you more points to bump yourself up. The disadvantage here is 491 is only a temporary skill visa, where 3 years later you become permanent residency. But 491 does give you the Medicares and a lot of benefit as well, which was guaranteed by the federal government. However, you are required to stay in regional area. Now, there will be no differences if you're already in Adelaide, Perth, Gold Coast, ACT, Tasmania, or in Darwin, because those areas, even in the city, in the suburban area, is still categorized as a regional area. So it's a way to actually attract skilled migrant towards those areas of needs. Now, 190, in the other hand, although it's a state nomination as well, it's a higher bar. It gets you a permanent residency straight away. Now, it will be very fruitful for people who are actually in Sydney, Melbourne, perhaps Brisbane as well, other than utilizing the independent skill migration 189 visa. You should have really put a choice at another EOI on subclass 190 as well, because soon as the you get state nomination for those suburban area. Well, traditionally, it depends on the state. It's different anyway. Once you get nominated, you get permanent residency straight away, and you do not require to stay in regional. Well, unless you really like regional. Now, that doesn't stop people in Adelaide, Perth, Darwin, Tasmania, Hobart to utilize 190 as well, as long as the criteria, you meet the criteria, you get invitations. So it sounds very complex, right? So there's so many different type of visa and so many different state and territories criteria. I get a lot of comments. What do I do? Do I do 189 or 190 or 491? Now, the best management on this is perhaps you put them all right? You prepare 3 or 4 or 5 EOI altogether, unless the state actually prevents you to do so. Then you should really have multiple EOI thrown into the pool, because it's like going to a job, seeking for a job, right? You don't just focus on one job. You go into different employers and to apply for the job and see which one's the best, that you actually receive correspondence. It's the same mechanism as in skill migration. So the answer, should you really consider state nomination, skill migration for 2023 and 24? The answer is obviously yes, of course. But the only thing that we cannot do anything at the moment is that the state nomination has been open. It's only ACT at the moment, but we're looking forward for all the new ones to coming up. I think they are all waiting for the new point test system. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, so once we have all the updates, you get the first insight. Thank you for watching. I see you next video. Goodbye.